This morning, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made one of the most epic statements we have seen from an executive in this country. He announced he was suspending the woke Soros-backed state attorney. The state attorney is a Democrat who announced they would not be enforcing the law. Ron DeSantis said very plainly, that's not your job. The legislature says what the law is. You are supposed to prosecute people when they break the law. This is amazing. Now, I've talked about why I would want to vote for Donald Trump in 2024, and the answer is simple. Trump says that he is going to fire everybody. And the question is, will Ron DeSantis do it? I got to say, I believe right now we have a little bit more evidence that Ron DeSantis would take decisive action against the bureaucratic state draining the swamp, considering he's made this move. Now, Donald Trump did do fairly well. He exposed many of the swamp monsters, but he brought in some as well. It's hard to say because we don't know exactly what Ron DeSantis will do. We only don't know what he's doing now in Florida. But we have seen the problems of the Soros-backed DAs for some time now. In fact, Chesa Boudin, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Boudin, he was recalled in San Francisco because, well, crime was skyrocketing. People were, there's open air drug markets. There's feces on the street. This idea of not enforcing the law isn't working. Now, I'm not going to pretend that there aren't problems. I do think we need criminal justice reform. But what's happening with these DAs is just gutting and ripping apart our cities, and it's making everything worse. And now, what are we seeing following Ron DeSantis' statement that he's suspending a woke DA? Over at Predict It, it is nearly tied. Predict It is this website where you can buy shares into who you think will win an election or other things like that. The big bet. Who will be the Republican nominee in 2024 for president? Donald Trump at 39 cents and Ron DeSantis at 37. So I can only say right now, when Donald Trump came out and said he was going to fire up to 50,000 people, well, I said, okay, you got me. I'm in. Look, I know 2 years as an attorney in an election, and we don't know what Ron DeSantis is going to do. Then he does this. Now I'm like, oh, man, that's really, really good. Donald Trump needed to do the same. And maybe it's because he got jammed up with these fake investigations and his hands were tied. He wasn't able to drain the swamp. And maybe the reason we saw Russiagate and them tying Trump's hands was because they knew he was going to drain the swamp. But to be fair, Donald Trump brought in John Bolton, and I can't get over that. I think Trump's foreign policy was overwhelmingly good, but why bring that guy in the first place? That being said, as Trump's first term went on, he did tremendous work in terms of foreign policy, and that's something we don't know yet from Ron DeSantis. But with this move, suspending this DA and probably going after more, I can only say I am really excited for a Ron DeSantis presidential run. Maybe what we need is a Trump-DeSantis ticket, one term, and then 8 years of DeSantis. Recently, I was speaking with Rick Santorum and Mark Meckler from the Convention of States Project, and they said that's not how politics works. I mean, to get 3 Republican terms back to back, that's wishful thinking. I said, yeah, it's a pipe dream. We might get a Trump-DeSantis, but are we going to get then 2 more terms of DeSantis? I mean, maybe. But I'm not entirely convinced because things change. And that's an eternity, 12 years in politics. Who knows what will happen, especially on foreign policy. Now, some people are concerned that you elect a Ron DeSantis, he turns into a Romney. Maybe, maybe not. I can't think about that stuff. Like, we don't know the future. What I can tell you now is bold, powerful leadership from Ron DeSantis, and I am all here for it. Let's read the news. Talk about what's going on with these Soros-backed DAs. Take a look at the actual executive order from DeSantis. Brilliant stuff. And then, probably my favorite news out of all of it, The View invited Ron DeSantis on, and the smackdown in response was beautiful. Though I must admit, I would have preferred to see Ron DeSantis go on The View. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member to not only support our work, but also get access to exclusive shows from timcast.com, notably the Timcast Uncensored After Show. The episodes that we've done in the past couple of weeks have been particularly Spicy, to say the least. And they're available here at the members only section on timcast.com with our guests from Timcast IRL Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. But we also have Tales from the Inverted World, Season 2, an amazing audio-visual experience showing you images as Shane tells the story of trying to find the lost Confederate gold and exploring Southern Civil War history. Really amazing stuff. The Cast Castle vlog should be relaunching with an extended promo episode introducing everybody in the show. I believe next week. I think it might be like 40 minutes long. So it's going to be really, really fun. And then, of course, we have Chicken City and Pop Culture Crisis. So don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Here's the story from townhall.com. DeSantis suspends woke Soros-backed state attorney. They say Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced Thursday he has suspended Soros-backed Hillsborough County State Attorney Andrew Warren effective immediately for refusing to enforce state law. Quote, the governor has the authority to suspend a state officer under Article 4, Section 7 of the Constitution of the state of Florida. State attorneys have a duty to prosecute crimes as defined in Florida law, not to pick and choose which laws to enforce based on his personal agenda, the Republican governor said. It is my duty to hold Florida's elected officials to the highest standards for the people of Florida. I have the utmost trust that Judge Susan Lopez will lead the office through this transition and faithfully uphold the rule of law. You know, I was kind of hoping he was going to say, we're arresting the guy, but I'm only half kidding. The guy's not doing his job. You don't arrest someone for that. You just fire them. And so everybody was joking, like, it'd be hilarious if he's like, we're going to arrest the guy for like collusion or something. No, that's over the top. I can already hear the screams from the left saying, Ron DeSantis is a fascist. This is what the executive of a state, of a country, is supposed to do. When someone is refusing to uphold the law, you get rid of them. I gotta say, I want to see this at the federal level. Donald Trump did not get rid of some of these people, and maybe he couldn't. I know. It's naive to think that Trump could have come in and just fired federal employees because they're protected to an extreme degree. And Ron DeSantis probably can't do it for the same reasons, but we got evidence here that Ron DeSantis might actually do it. Now, I think it's clever. A lot of people thought the announcement this morning was going to be Ron DeSantis declaring his run in 2024. But here's what I say. In the past couple of weeks, I said, Trump 2024 it is, baby, because Trump said we're going to fire everybody. Privately, at least. That was the story that came out, that Trump was privately planning to purge the federal government. All right, well, that's not directly from Trump himself, but I believe it. You know, that's his intent, and I'm going to vote for that. I think Ron DeSantis heard that loud and clear and was like, we're going to make some firings of our own. Suspension for the time being. DeSantis gave a number of examples of Warren refusing to enforce the law. After the Dobbs decision, for example, the Democrat signed a letter saying he wouldn't enforce any state laws relating to protecting the unborn in Florida. You just can't do that. DeSantis also pointed to Warren's position on trans issues. Quote, we are not going to allow this pathogen that's been around the country of ignoring the law. We are not going to let that get a foothold here in the state of Florida. We are going to make sure our laws are enforced and that no individual prosecutor puts himself above the law. Bravo, good sir. But let's talk about how the media is handling it. Axios on NewsGuard, our good friends at NewsGuard, give Axios a 100 out of 100. They say they're the best. I certainly don't think so. You are fake news. And I'll tell you why. They write the story up. Governor Ron DeSantis suspends Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren. Okay, why is that? They say DeSantis accuses Warren of incompetence and willful defiance as early as June 2021 in the executive order. The order cites Warren's signing of a joint statement with other elected prosecutors, like Monique H. Worrell, the state attorney for Orange and Osceola counties, condemning laws that criminalize doctors who perform gender-affirming health care. That is not what Ron DeSantis said. That is not what he said. Fake news. NewsGuard. You guys gonna fact check them on this one? That's a provably false statement, isn't it? Let me tell you what Ron DeSantis said. First, gender-affirming healthcare is a broad and vague term. It could refer to like social therapy, like they do in Scandinavian countries. Ron DeSantis specifically referred to castration and double mastectomies on minors. That is very specific and different. That is not the vague gender-affirming healthcare. I think we actually need, I don't know about gender affirming, because that may not be the right approach. Like you take a look at what's happening in Scandinavian countries. But maybe that is the larger issue at play. You know, if you've got a kid who's got an identity issue, they do need healthcare, but I don't know about surgery, sex change operations. So I say fake news to Axios. That is grossly out of context. The governor's office also accuses Warren of acting as law unto himself by instituting a policy of presumptive non-enforcement for certain criminal violations, citing his most recent pledge not to press charges against those receiving an abortion or their doctors. You can't do that. I mean, and this is the crazy thing. The DAs don't make the law. This is the crazy thing. I've had cops tell me this too. We've had cops on the show and they're like, the police officers don't make the law. You know, they have to enforce it. I'm like, that's not true. Cops every day have discretion as to how they enforce things. The DA technically does as well. And this is what Ron DeSantis said. If you are going to have some discretion in these prosecutions, it's on an individual level. You can't come out and sign a document saying there will never be a prosecution. That's you just flagrantly violating the law. We have Christina Pishaw here, debunking false narratives about Florida and Governor Ron DeSantis, spokesperson for the office, who says progressive prosecutors backed by Soros have refused to enforce laws across this country. They treat criminals with deference and victims with contempt. This dereliction of duty is why crime is surging. But Governor Ron DeSantis won't stand for this. He just suspended the one from Florida. Bravo. I mean, this is one of the coolest things I've heard in a long time. Seeing someone finally hold these people to account. Amazing. Here's the executive order. Brilliant. State of Florida. Office of the Governor. Executive Order number 22176. Execute Executive Order of Suspension. Saying, whereas Article 4 of the Florida Constitution vests the state's supreme executive power in the governor and requires the governor to take care of that the laws of Florida are faithfully executed. Whereas in furtherance of the governor's executive responsibility, the governor may suspend from office any state officer not subject to impeachment for that officer's malfeasance, misfeasance, neglect of duty, drunkenness, incompetence, permanent inability to perform official duties, or commission of a felony. Whereas neglect of duty refers to, quote, the neglect or failure on the part of a public officer to do and perform some duties or duties laid on him, as such by virtue of his office, or which is required of him by law. Whereas incompetence may arise from gross ignorance of official duties or gross carelessness in the discharge of them, or from lack of judgment and discretion. Whereas state's attorneys are state officers constitutionally elected to serve as prosecuting officers of all trial courts within each judicial circuit. And there's quite a bit more, so let's get to the therefores, because there's a lot of whereases, and I'm not going to read the entirety of it because dude is going off. Let me just, now therefore I, Ron DeSantis, Governor of Florida, pursuant to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Florida, do hereby find, and for the purposes of Article 4, Section 7, Andrew Warren is, and at all material times was, the state attorney for the 13th Judicial Circuit of Florida. The office of the state attorney in the purview, blah, 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 if, after execution of the suspension, additional facts are discovered that illustrate further neglect of duty, incompetence, and other constitutional grounds for suspension of Andrew Warren, this executive order may be amended to allege those additional facts. Okay, long story short. Signed, Ron DeSantis, governor. Round of applause. Look, we're a constitutional republic. This is a single state. They elected this man, and he outright said he would not do his duty. Bye-bye. Prosecutorial nullification. You want to talk about prosecutorial? Let me show you what's going on. Let me give you a spattering of the ongoing stories that I have to read every single day in these jurisdictions where they refuse to uphold the law. Career criminal in New York City shot a McDonald's worker, 23 years old, in the face over his mom's cold fries. That's it. Amazing. This is what we see in these places. Here we go. MMA fighter springs into action to take down NYC assault suspect. A man was punching people. Oh, and you're saying, what is this? This is crime, Tim. It's just crime. I know. When they do these things, bail reform, cash bail, no cash bail. I like the concept. I'm in favor of getting rid of cash bail because the system is failing. but not the way they're handling it. They're letting violent criminals out. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Here's where we go. Take a look at this. Terrifying moment. NYPD cops are ambushed by glass bottle throwing gang who injure 4 officers as they tried to arrest man armed with loaded handgun. All right, let's slow down for a minute. What was the guy with the gun doing? They tried to apprehend a man with a loaded firearm. Was he constitutionally carrying his weapon, or was he using it in the commission of a crime? I think there are legitimate questions here, but ultimately, this is not how you handle things. Now, I can understand if locals are getting angry with cops because cops don't treat, they're an oppressive force, right? However, New York has a very serious cultural decay problem. They have overbearing laws, they have disproportionate enforcement, and now they have societal breakdown. This is what you get when you have bad laws, bad elections, and when you have no accountability from the executives. This is what happens when you don't clean things up. New York is where the cops are racist. The left talks about racist cops and oppressive cops. New York, baby, we don't have these large urban police departments. Now, look, again, I'm not a fan of the cops trying to arrest someone, I should say the laws being in place because somebody has a gun. You see the way they're framing this? Officers approached an individual who attempted to flee the location but was apprehended armed with a loaded firearm. Why? If he committed a crime and he was armed, I get it. But people in New York should be allowed to concealed carry without permits. Constitution says the right to keep and bear arms. But I'll tell you, this is where we're headed. Now, there's 2 sides to this because I want to tackle the philosophical issues here. Sooner or later, regular people, they revoke consent. But New York has seen a major spike in crime, slashings, robberies, and I don't know what the solution is. When you see cops being ambushed and people are throwing bottles at them, something's not working. And this idea, I can tell you this right now from the progressives in New York City, to follow this non-prosecutorial discretion thing they're doing, yeah, it's not working. It's not. You're seeing violent crime, which I showed you, and you're seeing cops who try to enforce the law being attacked. I may not be a fan of that law, but I'm a reformer, not a revolutionary. I think we need a Supreme Court hearing. I think we need the courts to say outright, cops can't do this. But for the time being, we need law enforcement. Sorry, I'm not an anarchist. I'm very libertarian. I don't like a lot of these big city police departments, but I do believe in basic security of some sort. Now, some people have argued for duly elected police like sheriff's departments. Some have argued for private police. Okay, in some fashion, I say that's what I'm talking about. New York is just corrupt as it gets. Now, as we see DeSantis outright say, "Get out, you're fired." This is what we get. Amazingly, George Soros vows he won't stop backing woke DAs despite urban crime spikes. Talk about a despicable, evil man. I'm sick of this stuff, man. Left-wing billionaire George Soros insisted Monday that soft-on-crime DAs he's backed to the tune of millions of dollars are making the criminal justice system more effective and just, and warned that I have no intention of stopping. The Hungary-born Soros, 91, argued in a Wall Street Journal op-ed published Sunday that the agenda pushed by top prosecutors like Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg was both popular and effective. I just showed you what was going on in that city. This agenda includes prioritizing the resources of the criminal justice system to protect people against violent crime. It urges that we treat drug addictions as a disease, not as a crime. And it seeks to end the criminalization of poverty and mental illness. The goal is not defunding the police, but restoring trust between the police and the policed. A partnership that fosters the solving of crimes. Sure. That's what he says. And then the people who get in with support from him and his finances and organizations that are backed by him aren't doing this. That's why I say it's evil. This dude, you can clearly look at New York and be like, well, this isn't working. Don't care. They don't care. He's just going to keep doubling down saying, I'm doing the right thing and the ends justify the means. I don't like New York's criminal justice system. I don't like the way they handle things. But this ain't it. It's not working. Now, look, it's easy for me to say that this doesn't work. It's hard to actually build the machine to solve the problems. I understand that. But I can tell you, throwing grease into a fire is probably not the smart move. And that's what they're doing. Soros published the op-ed amid a backlash against lax DAs that led San Francisco voters to recall Chesa Boudin over spikes in shoplifting, open-air drug dealing, and broad daylight assaults, often against Asian Americans. Down the coast in L.A., another recall effort is targeting DA George Gascon, who got nearly $3 million in campaign funds from Soros. Closer to home, Bragg, whose campaign received $1 million from Soros via the Color of Change Political Action Committee, has come under fire for allowing habitual criminals out of jail while prosecuting ordinary New Yorkers for defending themselves. And that is exactly why I say this man is evil. He is either so stupid that he's not paying attention to the suffering he's causing, or he knows and he enjoys it. I'm done. The times, they are a-changin'. It's not just about what Ron DeSantis did from town hall. New San Francisco DA announces aggressive new policy to hold drug dealers accountable. This is what happens when you get that recall. There's just the opening paragraph, the gist of the story, but that's the point. We can see that change is coming. Now, back to our good friend, Ron DeSantis. I got to say, I'm starting to lean more and more towards voting for Ron DeSantis in 2024 if he does win the nomination. Because, look, man, I've never been a MAGA hat wearing, Trump guy. I voted for Trump because school choice is so important. Donald Trump's second term agenda was amazing. His foreign policy was epic. And those are all really, really good indicators. But every single day, Ron DeSantis proves he knows what's up. I learned this recently, that he was one of the founders of the Freedom Caucus. I'm a big fan of the Freedom Caucus. And that's Ron DeSantis. Congressman, governor, maybe president. I know a lot of people want Trump, and for a lot of reasons, I understand it. I agree. But maybe the Trump time has come. It's come and gone. He's older, man. Ron DeSantis, he's 40. What is he, 43 or something? Is it 45? A young guy? Take a look at this. The View asked Florida Governor DeSantis to be a guest. Here's how he responded. It would be nice to think DeSantis could sit down and face some tough but respectful questions ahead of ducking some pushback on his beliefs. Excellent, Pointer. Pointer Institute does the fact-checking for Facebook. Yeah, the Craig Newmark Center. These people are just the most vapid, narcissistic ivory tower trash you could ever possibly imagine. Respectful questions? Respectful? Let me show you what respectful is. Brian Griffin says, here's our response. Deputy Press Secretary, Executive Office of the Governor. He says, thanks for the invite. I understand that you are sending this request on behalf of your team. But are the hosts of The View really interested in hearing from Governor DeSantis about all the important work he is doing on behalf of Floridians, to protect their health and livelihoods, to stand up for parents and children, and to defend freedom? Which of the below statements from the host of The View do you recommend our team consider when deciding if the interview will be a genuine pursuit of truth or worth the time? Joy Behar, August 2021, saying, you're just short of calling him a negligent, homicidal sociopath, because that's what he is. What is he doing? He is risking the lives of children, children's parents, their grandparents, anyone they may come into contact with, so he can appeal to his white supremacist base, so he can continue in his career and get reelected. Sonny Hostin, June 2022, Death Santis. I think he's a fascist and a bigot. Anna Navarro in April. Of DeSantis' policies, they're anti-black, anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ plus community, and for some reason the Republican base responds to it. It's anti-American. It's what happens in Venezuela. It's what happened in Nicaragua. Sonny Hostin, February 2022. It started with CRT. Let's remember that. And those anti-history laws, anti-black history laws, really. If you start coming after black people, what comes next, right? Of course, the LGBTQ plus community, and then women, and then other marginalized groups. He says, we will pass on the offer. Also, please note, we don't coordinate appearances or events of a political nature from the official office. Our role is to serve the people of Florida. Thank you. Bravo. Bravo to Ron DeSantis and his team. I think this is absolutely amazing. Seriously. Brian Griffin, Christina Pushaw would be excellent if Ron DeSantis runs for office and we get a White House press secretary in Christina Pushaw and a deputy press secretary with Brian Griffin. I think we'd be in great hands. I am continually impressed every single day by Ron DeSantis. I'm digging it, man. I think it's fantastic. DeSantis' office declines invitation to The View after its host calls him a homicidal sociopath. Okay. I'd have actually loved to see Ron DeSantis sit down in that chair and have that conversation. I think people needed to hear it. I absolutely do. It's unfortunate he's not going to go, but I totally understand why. Me? You know what? I'm going to put it this way. I think the real reason Ron's not going to do it is what's he helping by going on this show? I rarely get invited onto, big left podcast shows or whatever. And I often say, look, I can't travel. I not only do a morning show and a nightly show, but I'm running a company in between. And people, I hope everybody understands that. So when I talk to one of these leftists and ask them to come on the show and they say they're not going to do it because they're busy, I get it. I can respect that. The simplest of all answers. If I say, come on my show, they go, I can't do it. I'm running a company. I say, fair point, because I totally get that. But what I can't stand for is the excuses like, oh, this, that, or otherwise, or, there's not enough COVID protections or whatever nonsense they want to try and argue as to why they bail on their invitation. But I got it, man. If people are busy. And I think that a big reason here is probably that Ron DeSantis is just too busy. He's very, very busy. I would be honored to host Ron DeSantis on Timcast IRL. It would be the most epic thing. And, it is an honor and a privilege to be able to host the people that we've hosted so far on the show. It is an honor and a privilege that we've been reached out to by many individuals about coming on the show. And I look forward to having them come and sit down when they can. It would be absolutely incredible for us. And we've talked to, we've had people from Trump's inner circle on the show. It really, really is a truly amazing experience to be able to talk to many of these people. I look forward to seeing how a President DeSantis operates. I truly believe, whether it's 2024 or not, we will have a president in Ron DeSantis. He's got the military leadership. You can see he's got the charisma. He's quick-witted. This dude knows what's up. He's got legal experience. I think he would make an excellent, excellent leader. Which brings me to predict it. This one really surprised me. Who will win the 2024 Republican presidential nomination? Trump and DeSantis nearly tied. No joke. Now, Trump was up quite a bit before. And it was like, okay, so like DeSantis at 30 cents to Trump's, 40 something. Makes sense. Trump's probably going to win. Now it's 39 to 37. Every day, Ron DeSantis is a rising star proving why he's a good leader. I know the hardcore Trump supporters want to see Trump, Trump, Trump. And I got to tell you, if Trump's the nominee, he's getting my vote. I want to see him fire the swamp. And people say like, well, Tim, Trump didn't fire people his first time around. And I'm kind of like, I know, but I'll vote for the guy saying he's going to do it over whatever the Democrats have to offer. What, AOC? But I got to tell you right now, it's a tough call. Ron DeSantis versus Trump. When Trump said he was going to fire everybody, I said, Trump's got my vote. But we'll see what happens. Now DeSantis comes out and suspends this DA, and he's probably going to go after more. And I'm like, all right, that is provable action. Nah, it's a toss-up. Now I might just say DeSantis. I mean, look, all the complaints people have about Trump, his character, his attitude, all that stuff, I get it. I have concerns about Ron DeSantis because foreign policy is such a big component of what I care about. Nancy Pelosi is apparently going to the DMZ. I'm interested. I am very interested. I hope she does some good. I really do. I do not like her, but I hope she does some good. I really do. Ron DeSantis' foreign policy, I don't know about. I have good reason to believe he's great on domestic policy, but as a governor of Florida, I don't know. My fear is he's going to get in and he's going to say, look, there's a reason why we go in the Middle East. There's a reason why we're sending weapons here, there, or otherwise. That's a concern to me. I'm worried that it could be an Obama situation. All of this great stuff being said, to be fair, Obama wasn't much of a leader before he ran for president. Ron DeSantis is provably a good leader. So I don't know why I should doubt him. That's the thing. It's a risk, but I think it's all there. Now, here's what I find really fascinating is after this happens, I get an email from Donald Trump. Drain the swamp. Drain the swamp, drain the swamp, drain the swamp. I think Trump and I think DeSantis know exactly what this is all about. I do. Donald Trump sends out this fundraiser saying drain the swamp around the same time shortly after Ron DeSantis terminates a swamp creature from Florida. Trump knows what's up. Trump knows what motivates people like me, and that is to clean things up. So I got to say, We're in for a wild ride, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really interesting. I think for the people who watch shows like mine, most of the people who watch are probably closer to the DeSantis camp than the Trump camp. But we have a large portion of people who watch who are all in for Trump. And my attitude right now is it's both good, man. Let's just see what happens. If DeSantis ends up getting the nomination and he moves forward, I think everyone's going to be happy. Many people might want Trump. They might say Trump's the guy to go for. I hear you. All that matters is we don't let uniparty establishment win. That's what I'm talking about. Joe Biden is one of the worst, one of the absolute worst. And we can see just how bad things have gotten. At this point, I got to say, even Nikki Haley would be better. Glenn Youngkin would be better. Ted Cruz, substantially better. And I'm mentioning these people because they're on the predicted list. Nikki Haley's got 6 cents. Why? Who's actually betting Nikki Haley? You know what it is? Here's what they're saying. You buy a share of Nikki Haley. Then when she announces her run, it will spike to like 8 cents. You sell that, you make some money. That's how it works, basically. But I don't know, man. I'm thinking it might be DeSantis. I really, really do. He's just got that. He's just a younger guy. He's fresh energy into American politics. He's got that Trumpian MAGA backing, like his policies, and he's got military experience. He's getting it all across. He's checking the boxes across the board, except for foreign policy. So I suppose you got to make a decision. Now, a lot of people are going to be loyal to Trump. Fine. I got no issue with that. I'll vote for Trump. DeSantis, I think I'd be more excited for DeSantis at this point. It's hard to say. We got a couple years, so we're an eternity away, but we will see. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.